Hi, I'm Sam Robert Brice, President of BRICE. I'd like to take a moment today to welcome you to the BRICE team. As a family-founded company with deep roots here in Alaska, we pride ourselves on having a reputation for safety, quality, and efficiency on all of our projects. We've grown over our 50-plus years of operations here in Alaska, and you'll have the opportunity to work on large and small diverse projects across our great state. No matter what division you work with, we are committed to each employee having a safe and successful season. In the next few minutes, we'd like to share the history, mission, and policies of BRICE. Thank you for joining our team. We look forward to having a safe and productive future together.
BRICE was started in Fairbanks, Alaska by Luther and Helenka Brice in 1961 with the help of their 4 sons, Sam, Richard, Andy, Al, and Tom. BRICE began with an initial contract clearing land on Chena Hot Springs Road. Within 10 years, BRICE was one of the first companies clearing land for the new Trans-Alaska Pipeline. Over the last 50 years, BRICE has grown from 2 dozers and a pitch tent to a group of 6 companies that has performed work in over 100 locations throughout Alaska, the continental United States, and various sites worldwide.
Hi, my name is Todd Henderson and I'm the Chief Financial Officer for BRICE Companies. BRICE has earned a reputation for an unyielding work ethic, ingenuity to complete the most challenging projects, and dedication to ensuring quality work for its clients. It is that reputation that aligned the BRICE family and their companies with the Callista Corporation business philosophy and eventually led to the sale of the BRICE divisions in July of 2010. The core values of all the BRICE companies are as strong as ever and represent the values of Luther and Helenka Brice and their sons. We continue to integrate our standards of success with those of Callista Corporation so that we solidify the future of BRICE for years to come.
With multiple projects spanning the state, BRICE Incorporated has a proven track record of excellence. From airport construction in western Alaska to erosion control in the Arctic Circle and gas exploration in interior Alaska, BRICE is able to tackle multi-million-dollar projects in multiple locations, ensuring the quality of each with budget and schedule restrictions met. Matching a core value of Callista Corporation, BRICE understands the work we do directly translates into projects that improve the lives of Alaskans. Operating in a state that spans thousands of miles requires the logistical capability to control remote projects. BRICE Marine allows for the transportation of construction equipment, materials, and supplies to these remote locations in a timely manner. With access to most of the navigable waters in Alaska, BRICE Marine is able to deliver in a variety of challenging conditions. From air compressors and generators to heavy construction machinery, BRICE Equipment provides Arctic-grade construction support to the oil and gas construction industries. With offices in Fairbanks and Deadhorse, BRICE Equipment boasts a fleet of more than 300 pieces of equipment to support remote and Arctic job sites. Browns Hill Quarry, located outside of Fairbanks, produces a diverse range of aggregate products including boulders, rock chips, sand, and topsoil. We manufacture over 200,000 cubic yards of material annually, supporting a variety of construction projects. BRICE Environmental is an outflow of our commitment to our environment. From civil construction and demolition to remote fieldwork, BRICE Environmental has over 20 years' experience in contaminated site assessment and remediation.
We're excited to have you join our team and look forward to developing a relationship with you as you learn and grow with our company.
The mission and values under which we operate are core to our company and have remained unchanged. We continue our mission to provide construction materials, marine services, equipment rental, and environmental remediation-related services that exceed the expectations of our clients while resulting in an acceptable return on investment for our stakeholders and a high quality of life for our employees. The values by which we conduct our daily activities continues to include integrity, honesty, respectfulness of others, pride in our work, leadership by example, community involvement, and quality of life for our employees. Our goal each and every day is to make sure employees return home safe, and being safe begins with being safety conscious.
Hi, I'm Dan Clark, the Corporate Safety Officer. BRICE prides itself on having a reputation for safety. Our safety principles are: all jobs will be performed in a safe manner, every injury, illness, accident, or spill is preventable, and safety, health, and environment are everyone's responsibility. These principles are the core of our safety program, and our vision is to have 0 incidents and 0 injuries.
Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is necessary on all BRICE project sites. The minimum PPE on any site begins with hard hats, worn brims forward unless attached to a welding hood, eye protection, safety glasses with side shields. Face shields with safety glasses must be worn when using tools which cause flying particles such as grinders or chipping guns. Sturdy work boots. Work gloves. Employees must use proper gloves for the task being done. The only variance is when performing fine detail work, when gloves would pose a greater hazard. An ANSI-approved retroreflective vest. Hearing protection. If you will be working in an environment where the noise is high, hearing protection must be worn. Use the 2-foot rule. If you cannot speak to a fellow employee in a normal tone of voice 2 feet away, the area noise is too high and hearing protection must be worn. When working around harmful dusts, mists, or vapors, you are also required to wear a respirator. If any PPE is damaged or not working properly, please inform your supervisor immediately. At each job site, crews are kept abreast of the work site and working conditions through daily tailgates, weekly production and safety meetings, and job hazard analyses, or JHAs. Prior to the day's startup, project supervisors go over the day's activities. These tailgates are an excellent opportunity to provide workers on the possible hazards and how to do their job safely and more efficiently. All employees are encouraged to actively participate in these meetings and to give feedback on safety practices and work policies. The weekly meetings detail the tasks currently being done, the specific hazards that may be encountered, and the safety precautions that must be followed. Weekly topics are provided by the corporate safety officer that can be introduced and discussed. These special topics and additional considerations are shared company-wide at each project site. The JHA may include hazards such as fire potential, electrical shock, fall protection issues, or chemical contact possibilities. The supervisor shall present a JHA to all employees involved so that they may be aware of the potential hazards. All employees present must review and sign off on the JHA form. In addition to listing the hazards, the JHA shall list any permits needed, work area restrictions, and emergency response procedures. We work on equipment and in areas that will require fall protection. Fall protection is required where there is a possibility of a fall of 6 feet or greater. 100% tie-off is required. When wearing a full body harness, make sure to check all of the equipment before use. If there is anything frayed or damaged, report it to your supervisor. When working in a personnel lift, you must be secured by means of a body harness and lanyard, no matter the height, to prevent ejection. When exiting a piece of equipment or using a ladder, remember to always use 3 points of contact as you ascend or descend.
BRICE is a drug and alcohol-free workplace. All employees must submit to a drug screening prior to employment and shall be subject to random substance abuse testing. In addition, tests may be required for post-accident and reasonable suspicion circumstances. Firearms and weapons of any kind will not be permitted on BRICE premises or projects unless approved by the safety officer or project manager. These circumstances may include isolated projects and wildlife in the area.
All of BRICE's projects involve the driving of various vehicles. Whether on a barge, operating heavy equipment, or a standard truck, all employees must obey posted signage for state, federal, and local laws. The use of cell phones, including texting, is not allowed while a vehicle is moving. General housekeeping is one of the most important tasks on any job site. It prevents not only slips, trips, or falls, but it also shows professionalism. Make sure all debris is cleaned up, tools and equipment put away, and all trash cleaned from vehicles and work areas. Employees must not work on energized circuits of any voltage unless they are qualified to do so, have adequate safety measures in place, and have the approval of the responsible superintendent. All tasks involving electrical equipment are considered electrically hazardous and have the following potential hazards associated with them: shock and burn due to contact, electrical flash burn from arcs, and blast injury resulting from electrical faults. If you are to work with or near electrical systems, you must follow these procedures. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions. Inspect all electrical cords, tools, and equipment prior to use. If damaged or have worn or frayed cable, it must be taken out of service. All electrical equipment shall be considered energized until all sources of energy are shut off, isolated, and lockout/tagout procedures have been completed. Extension cords must have third wiring grounding and inspected regularly. Junction boxes, circuit breaker panels, and similar equipment must be covered and labeled. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, must be on all 120-volt circuits which are not part of the permanent wiring of the building or structure. Remember, always approach high-voltage systems with caution. Touch handles or switches with gloved fingers before grasping. The sudden release of energy or the unexpected startup of equipment can cause serious injury to employees. This hazardous stored energy can be in the form of electricity, hydraulic power, stored pressure, pneumatic pressure, or liquid compressed pressure. Lockout/tagout is a system used to protect employees from the hazardous release of these types of stored energy. Prior to working on an energized system, all employees must follow these procedures. Receive training on the lockout/tagout procedure. Assess the equipment to be worked on for all hazards and all forms of potential stored energy. De-energize the equipment or isolate the energy. Some examples of energy isolation devices are circuit breakers, line valves, disconnect switches, or the removal of a starter key from the activation switch. After the energy has been shut off, it must be controlled. In other words, locked out, tagged, and tried to release any stored energy. This is done with a locking device, similar to a hasp, that is placed in such a way as to not allow any hazardous power sources to be turned on. A tag is then placed on the lock device, indicating that it should not be turned on and who the responsible person is. Only the person placing the lock and tag on the system may remove it. Only the person placing the lock and tag on the system may remove it. Removal of any lockout/tagout device shall not occur until all personnel in the area have been determined to be clear of the equipment. And lastly, locks shall be keyed differently. No one lock shall share the same key. Because of the sheer size of heavy equipment, there are inherent dangers associated with them and their operation. Therefore, all operators shall have the proper training before moving any piece of equipment and should know and follow these safe work practices as listed. Inspect your equipment prior to the start of each shift and document any deficiencies listed on the equipment inspection form. This inspection should include brakes, steering and operating controls, tires, horn and backup alarm, seat belts, fire extinguisher, coupling devices, and other operations specific to that piece of equipment. Backup alarms shall be functional on all heavy equipment. All digging implements shall be lowered to the ground when equipment is not in use. The parking brake shall be set whenever parked. When left unattended, power must be shut off, brakes set, digging implements set on the ground, and the transmission put in neutral or park. Wear your seat belts. Practice the three-point rule while climbing up and down all ladders. Remain alert to ground personnel at all times, and do not use equipment to lift personnel off the ground or loads over their heads. Back injuries are one of the most common types of work injuries. However, they can also be one of the most preventable. After determining the object is within your lifting capabilities, use proper lifting techniques. Warm up. Bend at the knees, not the waist, and lift with legs, not back. If necessary, get help when moving large objects or use available lifting equipment. Do not ever lift an object you are uncomfortable with. Assistance will always be available. All flammable material must be stored and transported in a proper metal container. All flammable storage areas must be located away from heat sources. Ensure all containers are labeled with content names. Smoking and open flames are prohibited within 50 feet of flammable or combustible materials. Fire extinguishers shall be located within 20 feet of any bulk storage site and each BRICE vehicle shall be equipped with one as well. Fire extinguishers should be inspected regularly. A complete inspection includes a careful look at the following items: location, accessibility and visibility, pressure gauge reading, the condition of the hose and nozzle, broken or missing safety seals, missing or damaged safety pin or retaining zip ties, operating instruction nameplate must be legible, the overall condition of the body, there shouldn't be any corrosion or dents. In any work area, you need to be aware of the potential fire hazards as well as the locations of nearby fire extinguishers. You also need to know how to use them. Remember the pass method for fighting fires. Pull the pin. Aim at the base of the flame, squeeze the handle, sweep slowly at the base of the fire with the agent. In areas where equipment is serviced or repaired, there is a lot of activity going on. The potential for a hazardous situation to surface can increase as the activities in the maintenance area increases. Only authorized personnel are allowed in these areas. If you do work in or around the shop, it is critical you follow common sense and these general guidelines. Keep work areas clean. Oil and grease should be cleaned up immediately. No smoking. Smoking is not allowed anywhere near the facility. Always use the right tool for each job. Motors must be turned off during all refueling operations. All portable grinders must have guards attached. All bench and pedestal grinders must have tongue guards and work rests in place and properly adjusted to 1/8 inch. When working with split rim tires, a tire safety rack must be used. Use blocking that is strong enough when working under axles, dump bodies, loaders, and any other systems where there is hazardous stored energy. Remove all debris and flammable material from welding and cutting operations. A fire extinguisher must be readily available. All leads and other equipment must be in good condition. Unless on a cart, separate oxygen and acetylene cylinders by a minimum of 20 feet. Cylinders must be capped and secured in an upright position at all times, whether full or empty. Keep compressed gas cylinders valves turned off when not in use. Hoses should be coiled and secured, and parts cleaning shall be done with an approved solvent only and cleaning rags disposed of properly. Welding and cutting operations introduce many hazards that have the potential to cause personal injuries, fires, explosions, and fume exposure. When performing hot work or working with or around compressed gas cylinders, extra precaution must always be taken, such as these items. Make sure the work area is well ventilated and free from debris or flammable materials. Proper PPE must be worn. This includes properly shaded filter lenses, double eye protection when grinding, helmet, and fire-resistant gloves and clothing. Gas cylinders must be secured from heat and electrical sources. Fire extinguishers must be readily available. Welding screens are to be used when work must be done near combustible or flammable material, electrical circuitry, or other people. If a fire watch is necessary, he or she must remain for at least 1 hour after the hot work operations have been completed. Never weld or burn on drums, tanks, piping, or other containers that may have contained combustible or unknown products. Take special care when working on coated surfaces. When not in use, remember to close or shut off valves and replace protective caps. Remember, you are responsible for maintaining your equipment in safe operating condition. Employees who must work with and around hazardous chemicals have both the need and the right to know the hazards and the identities of the chemicals to which they are exposed. Hazards and identities are communicated in 2 ways, labels and SDSs. OSHA has mandated that all labels be standardized so that they become aligned with the United Nations Globally Harmonized System, or GHS, of classification and labeling of chemicals. All labels shall have the following information on them: product identifier, pictograms, signal word, hazard statements, precautionary statements, name, address, and phone number of the chemical manufacturer or other responsible party. There are 9 different pictograms used on labels. Pictograms are intended to convey specific health and physical hazard information about the chemical. Some chemical labels will have more than one pictogram depending on the severity of the hazards. There are 2 signal words used to alert employees of a potential hazard and its relative level of severity. The word danger is used for more severe hazards, and the word warning is used for less severe hazards. Only one word will be present on the label. Each label will have a hazard statement. This statement describes the nature of the chemical hazard, including where appropriate and the degree of the hazard. Below the hazard statements, there will be precautionary statements that may include any or all 4 types: prevention, response, storage, and/or disposal. The SDS will always include all 4 types, and statements that are listed on the label will be identical to those on the SDS. The following 16 sections are required on the SDS, and in the order in which they are listed. Sections 12 through 16 are not mandated or enforced by OSHA, but in order to be consistent with the GHS, they must be included on the SDS. Every project site uses chemicals. Those chemicals that you may be exposed to will be on a list with corresponding SDSs. The exact location and means of access will be made known to you during your site-specific orientation. Remember, you have the need and the right to know any hazards and the identities of all chemicals to which you might be exposed to.
Hi, my name is Krista Lord. I'm the Human Resources and Risk Manager for the BRICE companies. At BRICE, we strive to create an environment of professionalism and safety that will keep everybody working in a safe manner in support of our values. You will be responsible for complying with all provisions of the company safety program and any instructions given by a supervisor. Disciplinary action shall be taken for violations of safety rules and procedures, abuse or neglect of equipment, or for any disregard for safety. If policies are not adhered to, we shall follow the discipline program sequence of enforcement. First offense is a written reprimand. Second offense is written probation notification, and third offense is termination. The first offense is a written reprimand where a record shall be made and placed in the employee's personnel file. The second offense shall warrant a written probation notification, and the third offense shall result in termination and removal from the site. If the first offense is of a willful or direct disregard to site policy, the employee may be removed from the site and/or terminated immediately.
Injuries to hands and arms are commonplace when working with both hand and power tools. To minimize the risks, use these guidelines. Keep tools in proper working order and always inspect them before use. Cords on electrical tools must be inspected for cracked or frayed spots, and plugs inspected for bent prongs or exposed connectors. Defective tools must be taken out of service. Use all tools for their intended use. Power saws, grinders, and other power tools shall have their proper guard in place at all times. When using any tool, use PPE such as gloves, eye protection, and hearing protection. Keep cords and hoses secured and out of the way to prevent tripping and falling hazards and to avoid their being damaged by other equipment or materials. Disconnect any tool from its energy source when not in use and prior to maintenance and cleaning. Store tools in a safe and proper manner where they will not be damaged. Each year, over 160,000 people are injured as a result of falls from ladders due to not following safety precautions. Following the steps presented here will help to maximize your safety when using a stepladder. Select a ladder that is the proper length for the job and that will eliminate the need to overreach or stand on the top rungs. Also, be sure the ladder has the proper capacity rating to carry your combined weight. Always inspect a ladder before using it and never use a damaged ladder. Examine the ladder for loose, damaged, or missing parts along the side rails, braces, and rungs. Make sure the braces are there and secure. Inspect the work area to make sure there are no overhead or electrical obstructions. Clear any clutter and ensure the ground is stable and free from anything slippery. Be aware of environmental conditions such as stormy weather, which may cause slippery conditions or lightning. Barricade or guard the work area if it is located at a blind corner or in front of a door. Do not use a metal ladder near electrical sources. When working during the colder months, exposure to cold temperatures makes it more likely cold stress disorders could occur. Wind and wetness from rain, snow, or perspiration enhances those symptoms related to cold stress. If working in conditions such as these, you should be familiar with these disorders and their symptoms. Hypothermia is the lowering of the body's core temperature below acceptable levels and may be accompanied by uncontrollable shivering, rigid muscles, and slurred speech. Frostbite occurs when areas of the body are exposed to cold and the exposed tissue is damaged. Common areas susceptible to the cold are the nose, cheeks, ears, fingers, and toes. This damage can be serious enough to permanently lose movement or even require amputation. Careful planning must be made when working outside in the cold and wind. It is essential to be able to recognize the early symptoms of cold stress in order to prevent serious injury. Also, do the following. Wear layered clothing to seal in-body warmth and an outer garment to block the wind. Take special care to protect the feet, head, and face. Keep dry, especially the feet. Avoid fatigue by staying hydrated and well-nourished, and do not work alone. Look for the symptoms in each other. When heat is combined with physical activity, loss of fluids, fatigue, and other conditions, heat-related illnesses can occur. Be alert for the following conditions. Heat cramps are caused by the loss of body salt. Heat exhaustion occurs when the body is unable to cool itself. The victim will sweat heavily and their skin will be cool and moist. They will seem tired, confused, clumsy, and irritable. Heat stroke is the most dangerous of all heat stress conditions. The body's temperature rises and the victim will have hot, dry, and red skin. They may have a headache or feel dizzy and weak, confused, and upset. Anyone feeling or witnessing these symptoms should seek medical help immediately. To help reduce heat stress, you can drink plenty of cool water, take breaks when needed, increase rest when physical activity is increased or temperatures are higher. At BRICE, all projects are conducted to prevent harm or damage to the environment. We ask all of our employees to be knowledgeable about and comply with all state, federal, and local laws and to abide by the following rules. Employees shall not release or otherwise discharge any hazardous substances or wastes. Employees shall comply and help to assure compliance with all pertinent environmental permits and plans relating to issues such as stormwater, spill prevention, air quality, water usage, and wetlands. Any release to the environment must be reported to your supervisor immediately. Any spill shall be cleaned up immediately by trained personnel and the proper authorities notified.
All incidents, no matter how minor, must be reported to the on-site supervisor. Incidents include all injuries to employees, subcontractors, or visitors, damage to property, equipment, or vehicles, near misses, and environmental incidents. If you are involved in an incident, you must complete an incident event report and help in any subsequent investigation. This reporting must be completed immediately so as to aid in the accident investigation, analysis, and ultimately the discovery of the cause of the incident. Our goal is to take corrective action quickly and to share this information with all BRICE projects to prevent similar types of events from occurring at other job sites. The construction industry is full of inherent dangers. That's why we emphasize employee involvement and promote policies that increase employees' awareness to potentially hazardous situations. Near-miss reporting and hazard report cards are two tools a worker can use to be proactive and to inform his or her supervisor of these hazards. At BRICE, we all have the authority to stop work if under the circumstances we believe the task poses an imminent risk of injury, death, or harm to the environment.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
BRICE maintains a work environment that nourishes respect for the dignity of each individual. It is against the policies of BRICE for an employee to harass another person because of their race, religion, color, national origin, age, physical or mental disability, sex, marital status, pregnancy, parenthood, union affiliation, or other characteristic protected by law. Demeaning actions, words, jokes, comments, or other materials based on such characteristics will not be tolerated. Consequently, it is against BRICE policies to sexually harass another person. Unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature constitutes sexual harassment, and anyone found to have unlawfully harassed another employee will be subject to discharge. BRICE takes threats of violence extremely serious. Any act or threat of violence by or against any employee, client, supplier, or visitor is strictly prohibited. This policy applies to all employees, whether on or off company property. Violation of this policy may lead to disciplinary action up to and including termination.
Thanks so much for taking time to view this video. I hope you have a much deeper appreciation for BRICE and our safety policies that keep us all safe and working. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please contact your supervisor or Dan Clark in our safety office or Krista Lord in our HR department. They can be reached at 907-452-2512. We want to have a safe and productive season, and we're all part of that process. Thank you for joining our team.